All right, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Finally, at long last, we have gotten the official schedule for the 2023 NFL season. The Ravens schedule is out. I can't wait to look at them. I can't wait to see what type of prime time games we're having and how this is going to break down. Earlier, I talked about how the Ravens will be playing on Christmas as well as play in London. That is the case. I can't wait to see who they're going up against. So let's get into the schedule because I'm going to look at it and I'm going to come up with my early predictions. Now, the best part about early predictions is you have the ability to change it just before the season. So I'm going to do my predictions here initially. I might do another prediction during the preseason, or I might wait until just before the regular season starts. After the last preseason game, I might make my official predictions. But for now, this is just my initial reaction to the schedule, my initial prediction to how I think things are going to go down. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. So here we go. Week 1, regular Sunday 1 p.m. game at the bank, starting off the season at home against the Houston Texans. So we got Houston to start off week 1. We'll be going up against CJ Stroud, so we'll see how he does. That should be a very interesting game. Not going to get my predictions yet. Let's just go through all the games, and then I'll talk about how I feel about each game. So we got Houston week 1. Then right off the bat, week 2. On the road, in fact. So week 2 on the road in Cincinnati. It's not a primetime game, but it's on the road in Cincinnati. Very interesting. Early on, we're facing off against an AFC North opponent. Week 3 against the Colts. This is a home game, so we'll be coming right back home week 3 to take on the Indianapolis Colts. So should be very interesting to see how that's going to go. Yeah, these rookie quarterbacks are really getting a test early on. Very interesting. We take on 2 rookie quarterbacks for the first 3 weeks, so that's very favorable for the Ravens, if I do say so myself. Then week 4, we're going to have a date in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. So we're going on the road week 4. That's 2 AFC North opponents within the first month of the season. Very interesting. And speaking of AFC North opponents, right after we're on the road and finish our business in Cleveland, we're going to go down to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. So we have 3 road divisional games in the first 5 weeks of the season. Wow, that is a huge test, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I love taking on divisional rivals early on in the season because if you can win those games, that gives you an early advantage against your other divisional foes. Imagine if Baltimore was to start off 5-0. That means they're 3-0 in the division and they're in a really good spot to win that division. That's exactly what you want. So right off the bat, we're taking on some divisional foes, and then the other 2 matchups are against rookie quarterbacks. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how CJ looks. We'll see how Anthony looks. It should be very interesting. Then week 6, right off the bat, week 6. This one is the London game. So week 6, early at 9:30 in the morning. By the way, throughout the first 5 weeks of the season, no primetime games for Baltimore. Very interesting. Week 6, 9:30 a.m. in London, we will be taking on the Tennessee Titans. Last time we were in London was in 2017. We took on an AFC South opponent. It didn't go well for us. That was the year of the Jaguars. So yeah, that was a very, very tough game. We lost 44-7. It was nasty. So hopefully we can redeem ourselves in London by bringing Lamar Jackson and this squad and representing. So it should be a very interesting game against the Titans. Week 7, we are taking on the Detroit Lions back at home. So after dealing with the Colts, we have a 3-game stretch where we're just on the road. On the road against Cleveland, on the road against Pittsburgh, on the road in London. So very interesting. We come back to the bank, home game, week 7 against the Detroit Lions. So we'll see what Jared Goff and the crew can do. Then week 8, 4:25 game against the Arizona Cardinals. We haven't faced off against the Cardinals since Lamar's MVP season, so it should be very interesting. Kyler versus Lamar. I guess this will be a chance to go up against Hollywood. You know, we haven't faced off against Hollywood since he was traded a year ago, so it should be very interesting. Then week 9, we're back at the bank taking on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. Very interesting game. Also a 1 p.m. game. So far, not hitting on any of these primetime games within the first 9 weeks of the season. You get a 4:25 game and you get that early 9:30 game in London. Very interesting how our primetime games are not showing up early on, but so be it. Then Week 10, right back at it. You are taking on the Cleveland Browns Week 10 at home in the bank. And to make it even more interesting, the league decided to give us back-to-back AFC North opponents at the bank. So you deal with Cleveland Week 10 in the bank, and then you got to deal with Cincinnati coming to Baltimore the following week. So again, a great chance to really put yourself in a good position. And it's very interesting that they decide to get Cincinnati out the way. It's very interesting. They got Cincinnati out the way and Cleveland. So you got two, legitimately, you're going to have early matchups with Cincy and Cleveland. And by week 11, you would have faced off against your divisional foe, your divisional rivals 5 times. By week 11, usually they would put those towards the later end of the season, but this time they got us going up against our opponents early. So yeah, Cincinnati at the bank. And to a surprise, this game is a primetime game, Thursday Night Football, 8:15. This is interesting. Our first primetime game is against the Cincinnati Bengals at the bank, at home, Thursday Night Football. Surprised they put that on Thursday Night Football. I think that's more so of a Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football game, but Thursday Night Football, that's not the matchup you want to put on Thursday Night Football. But hey, it is what it is. Then week 12. Ooh, interesting. Another primetime game. So we have back-to-back primetime games. So we'll take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday Night Football, and then not the following Sunday, but and then a week after that, we will be on Sunday Night Football for week 12 to take on Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. So wow, that's a tough schedule right there, legit. A 3-game stretch will deal with Deshaun Watson and the Browns, then a primetime game against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, then another primetime game against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And then after dealing with that gauntlet, that 3-game stretch of a gauntlet, we finally get our bye week. We're getting our bye week late. Crazy to think that, but we're getting our bye week late this season. Week 13 is our bye week. So, yeah, at this point, by the time you get to week 13, you're going to have a pretty good gauge of what this Ravens team's made of. And it's not going to be much time for them to really, if they're not in a good spot record-wise, there's not going to be a lot of time for them to recover. So we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, week 13, the bye week. Then you come back, week 14, at home, in the bank, against the LA Rams. So we're going up against both LA teams this year. Obviously, we do that, but, it's kind of a quote-unquote back-to-back, but, you get one LA team, you get the bye week, and then you get another LA team. So that's how it is. Week 15, we are taking on it's a primetime game. Interesting. We're taking on the Jaguars for a primetime game. Lamar Jackson versus Trevor Lawrence. They must have really liked that matchup that they saw last year between the Ravens and the Jaguars to make this a primetime game. Like, if you're looking at it, wouldn't you want to make the Dolphins? Because, again, the Dolphins are on this schedule later on down the road. The Dolphins would make more sense as a primetime game than the Jaguars, but they must have really liked that matchup. Either way, Week 15, Sunday Night Football, primetime game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to make it even more interesting, for the second time, you get back-to-back primetime games. By the way, we only have one home primetime game this season. Crazy. One home primetime game. And that's the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Because the Chargers primetime game is on the road. This Jaguars primetime game is on the road. And this next one's primetime game is on the road. The San Francisco 49ers, Week 16, Monday Night Football primetime. So we get one home primetime game this week. That's kind of crazy. I would have preferred if you would have made it more even. You give us one home primetime game, but we get 3 away primetime games. That's kind of crazy. And for this game on Monday Night Football, this is actually going to be on Christmas Day. So not only do we get to play in London this year, but we also get to play on Christmas. So, hey, I'm fine with a Christmas game. A Christmas game against the Niners, you expect that to be great. It's going to be a very tough matchup between us and the 49ers. Then you get to Week 17, you're back at the bank. And man, this is crazy. You're back at the bank, and you're taking on the Miami Dolphins. I'm really looking at the schedule. It's just crazy that we really only have one home primetime game. But it is what it is. Anyway, Week 17, you're taking on the Miami Dolphins. It's a 1 o'clock game. The Niners will be our last primetime game, potentially. So Week 17, 1 p.m. game against the Dolphins. And to end things off, Week 18, we will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And depending on how things are looking in the AFC North, that Ravens-Steelers game could very well be another primetime game. So, that one's to be determined. We don't have a date. So if we look at it, at the end of the day, Baltimore gets 4 primetime games. One of them is at home, 3's on the road. They get 4 primetime games. One of those primetime games is on Christmas, and they get to play in London. So I think that's pretty fine. That means they're really looking at the Ravens as a team that could be very entertaining because they gave us a Christmas game and a game in London. They expect this Ravens team to be entertaining this year. So I look at the schedule. I think it's a very interesting schedule. The fact that we take on we have 5 divisional games within the first 11 weeks of the season. I think that's very telling, man. That's crazy. Usually you would put that at the end to see who's going to determine the division, but damn, Baltimore needs to come out firing on all cylinders because they're not going to have any margin of error. They got to take these guys down. So that's the schedule. Week 1, the Texans. Week 2, the Bengals. Well, let's start over. Week 1, at home, Texans. Week 2, on the road against Cincinnati. Week 3, at home against the Colts. Week 4 and 5 on the road against the Browns and the Steelers. Week 6 on the road in London against the Titans. Week 7 at home against the Lions. Week 8 on the road against the Cardinals. Week 9 at home against the Seahawks. Week 10 at home against the Browns. Week 11, primetime game, Thursday Night Football at home against the Bengals. Week 11, primetime game at home against the Bengals. Week 12, away game, primetime game against the Chargers. Week 13 is our bye. Week 14, at home against the Rams. Week 15, on the road, primetime game against the Jaguars. Week 16, primetime game on the road, Monday Night Football, Christmas Day against the Niners. Then the last 2 games are home games against the Dolphins and the Steelers. So, interesting schedule. Now, time for my record predictions. I'm going to speed blitz this because I have the freedom to change this as we get close to the season. We'll see what happens during training camp. We'll see what happens during the preseason. I will be able to change it up if I feel that, we can win another game or lose another game, however I feel. So I'll say this. Week 1, at home against the Texans, that's a dub. We start 1-0. Week 2, on the road against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to get this one because I feel that we're going to split with the Bengals. We're going to win at home. They're going to win away. So they're going to beat us week 2. That's what I'm predicting. We'll go 1-1. Week 3, we're going to take the Colts. I believe that's a game we can win. Week 4, I like our chances on the road against Cleveland. I'm actually going to give us a win here. I think we could win on the road against Cleveland. So that should put us at 3-1. I think week 5 against the Steelers, we don't really play well in Pittsburgh. We don't play well in Pittsburgh. Like go back and look at our track record. How many times have we won in Pittsburgh in the last 5 years? We don't play well in Pittsburgh. In 2018, we were able to win there. 2019, we won, so that was good. But 2020, 2021, and 2022, we lost all 3 times on the road in Pittsburgh. So, I'm not liking our chances there. So, I might make this a loss and say we're 3-2. So, early on, you're gonna see some struggles. It's a new offense. Baltimore's going to look to get themselves together, but I don't think it's going to be a situation where we're going to be overly concerned. We could easily go 5-0, I'm going to be honest, but I'm trying to be more realistic here, knowing that this is a new offense that's going to be implemented, and it's possible that the Ravens don't start firing and going in, being red hot to start things off. So 3-2 so far. 2 losses against 2 divisional rivals, which we will make up later on. 3-2. Week 6 against the Titans, that's a win. We're 4-2. Week 7 against the Lions, that's a win. We're 5-2. Week 8 against the Cardinals, that's a win. We're 6-2. Week 9 against the Seahawks, that's a win. We're 7-2. So I'm liking where we are. You see, we're starting to bounce back. Offense is starting to heat up. Week 10 at home against the Browns. I like our chances at home at that point, especially with us firing on all cylinders. I'll take us against the Browns. I think we're going to sweep the Browns this year. I think we'll sweep the Browns and we'll split with the Steelers and the Bengals. So we're at 8-2 at this point. Week 11, we get our get back on prime time against the Bengals. We're 9-2 against the Chargers. I think that's going to be a tough one. I think the Ravens are going to take that one on the road. We'll be at 10-2. So we'll head into the bye week 10-2, feeling great, feeling like we're in a great position to compete for a championship. Week 14 against the Rams, I'll give that to us for 11-2. Week 15 against the Jaguars, 11-2. Let's see. I think we can beat the Jaguars. I think we're going to get our get back for what happened last year. So we'll be 12-2. Week 16 against the Niners on the road on Christmas. I wouldn't want my Christmas ruined, but I think it's possible we could lose that one. So for now, I'll say 12-3. Depending on how I'm feeling, I might switch the Jaguars and the Niners because I'm feeling, no, not the Jaguars and the Niners. I might switch the Chargers and the Niners. It's possible we lose on the road in LA, but we win this game against the Niners. So we're going to be 12-3 right now. And then week 17 against the Dolphins. Man, depending on where we are in the season, I don't know. I hope we can beat the Dolphins this time around. So I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna put it as a loss, and then week 18 against the Steelers we win. So that's gonna put us around 13-4. I think we're gonna be around 13-4 this season. Depending on how I'm feeling, I could see a situation where I could switch up a situation between the Niners, the Chargers, and the Dolphins. But right now, I'm gonna put it at 13-4. So yeah, 1-0. We beat the Texans. That's 1-0. We lose to the Bengals. 1-1. Beat the Colts. 2-1. Lose to the Browns. That's no. Beat the Browns. That's 3-1. Lose to the Steelers. That's 3-2. Titans. Beat the Titans. That's 4-2. Beat the Lions 5-2, beat the Cardinals 6-2, beat the Seahawks 7-2, beat the Browns 8-2, beat the Bengals 9-2. Right now we'll say beat the Chargers 10-2 going to the bye week, 11-2 because we'll beat the Rams, 12-2 here. Yeah, 12-2 because we'll beat the Jaguars. Right now I might change that. 12-3 we'll lose to the Niners. 12-4 we would lose to the Dolphins, and then we beat the Steelers. So 13-4. I'm looking at it right now, and I think if we can stay healthy and the offense gets itself going as the season goes on, we will be a 13-4 football team. We'll win the division, and we'll head into the playoffs with another chance to compete for a title. 13-4, I feel comfortable with that. I may switch some things up because it's possible we might just lose that game to the Chargers and win against the Niners on Christmas. I don't know. Maybe the record will be better, but I'm not about to sit here and say we're going 17-0 or 16-1. There will be several games where we're either struggling early on in the season or there's just moments where the offense isn't, really, going, because there's going to be weeks where, even the best of offenses just don't have it that week, or they're just getting played. I mean, the defense they're going up against is just playing them very well. So, 13-4 is very solid. There's a possibility of 12-5. Like I said, I'm always thinking the Ravens could be somewhere between 10-13 wins, especially now there's 17 games. 10-13 wins. I'm going to put them at 13-4 if they can stay healthy. Potentially could be more than that. Possibility of it being 12-5, it can't be taken out. Either way, I think Baltimore's going to win the division this year. I feel real confident about this new offense they're going to put in. I feel real confident knowing Lamar is here for the next 5 years. I feel real confident knowing we got new weapons, and I can't wait to see what they're doing. And the defense should be able to execute better this year now that they got a year really being able to work together, and everyone's going to be healthy, especially offensively. Everyone's going to be healthy. So yeah, 13-4 for me. Potentially could see a 12-5 situation. Potentially could see a situation where we win 14 or 15 games. But I think 13 is a good place to put right now based on the level of talent we have. That could change. I could potentially come back just before the season and say, you know what, let's go 12-5. Or I can come back and say, you know what, I feel confident, 15-2. But right now I'm going to say 13-4 and leave it there. Baltimore wins the division. They head into the playoffs, and then they'll see if they can, get to the Super Bowl at this, point. Which, again, I hope they can. But we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, it's been fun. It's been cool. Glad to finally get the schedule out. It's still bugging me that we have 3 road primetime games. I appreciate what they did for us this year in primetime, because last year they really didn't care about us on primetime. But this year, you're getting great primetime games. I mean, going up against the Jaguars on primetime is cool. Going up against the Chargers on primetime. They're basically putting you up against, either top-tier teams or top-tier quarterbacks. The future of the AFC. Lamar versus Burrow, prime time. Lamar versus Lawrence. Prime time. Lamar against, I guess at that point they would be assuming Trey Lance. But, that's the Niners. The Niners are always a great team. So, we'll just have to wait and see. And that's on Christmas, too. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, I like the fact that we do get 4 primetime games. One of those primetime games being on Christmas. And we get to go to London. So, I'm glad what the NFL did for us. At least giving us an opportunity to showcase what we can do. Especially in London, because we got to redeem ourselves in 2017. Anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And with that being said, that is all I've got. And I'm out of here, man. Peace!